AITA for hiding my $2.6 million severance after catching my wife planning a divorce. Imagine getting home 2 hours earlier than usual, your heart pounding, carrying a letter that says your company is going to give you a $2,600,000 severance package. The kind of news that changes life for any family. But instead of being met with a smile, you hear your wife on the phone with her mother, explaining step by step how she is going to drain your accounts in the divorce as soon as the December bonus comes in. You do not scream. You do not confront her. You simply close the door, go back to your car, and start building a legal strategy so precise it seems like a feat of engineering. You have just 3 weeks to decide, sign, and give half of it away to the person who has already emotionally betrayed you, or to draw a legal line that protects your future. I should not have come home early. That is the simplest truth in this whole story. If I had stuck to my usual routine, leaving the site at 6, taking the 202 freeway, getting home at 7 with my hands smelling of concrete and diesel, I would be divorced today. With half of what took me 30 years to build in the pocket of a woman who saw me as a walking ATM. But on Tuesday, November 12th, I arrived at 2:47 in the afternoon, and what I heard from the hallway of my own home broke me in two and, at the same time, saved my life. I will back up a bit. You need to understand how I got to that door with a white envelope in my pocket and the smile of a love-struck idiot on my face. My name is Ryan Caldwell. I am 46 years old, and I am a construction engineer, but the truth is I grew up as a laborer. Since I was 17, I was on scaffolds, hauling bags of concrete on construction sites all over Arizona. My dad built houses with his hands his whole life and died without any regrets because he used to say that a man who builds something has the right to pass on peacefully. I inherited that, the habit of building, of assembling, of seeing something where there was nothing before. At 25, I joined Horizon Construction Group, a mid-sized construction company that handled public works across Arizona. I started as a site supervisor, managing crews on rural roads. By 30, I was a project manager. At 35, director of operations. By 40, I was the one signing contracts with municipalities, negotiating with suppliers, and closing bids. 19 years of service, 19 years of building bridges, paving streets, constructing schools in towns where kids walked an hour to get to class. I did not get rich, but I lived well. Owned my home in the Ahwatukee foothills, had 2 cars, savings in a high-yield account, an investment fund with Fidelity that I built dollar by dollar over 15 years. Stability, the word my dad spoke as if it were a prayer. Lauren and I got married 14 years ago. I met her at a wedding in Scottsdale. She was the bride's cousin. I was the groom's friend. I liked her laugh before anything else, that laugh that would burst out and fill the whole space like water overflowing from a glass. Then I liked her direct way of speaking, no beating around the bush, with an intelligence that made you feel like you were at a disadvantage. The first years were good, really good. We built the house together. She chose the bathroom tiles. I laid the garage floor with my own hands on a Saturday in August while she brought me lemonade from the doorway. We tried to have kids. It did not happen. That wore us down in ways neither of us knew how to name. She left her job at an art gallery downtown to focus on us, she said. I agreed because I thought it was the right thing to do. From that point on, my salary was the only income, and slowly, without me noticing, I stopped being her husband and became her provider. On Tuesday, November 12th, at 11 in the morning, Rebecca Hayes, the director of human resources at Horizon Construction Group, called me into her office. The company was restructuring. They had lost 2 major federal bids and needed to cut senior management. They offered me a voluntary severance package of $2,600,000 paid in a single lump sum. I stared at the letter as if it were written in another language. $2,600,000. After taxes, it would be about $1,800,000, clean. More money than my father ever saw in his entire life. You have until November 30th to sign, Rebecca said. The offer is irrevocable after that date. 3 weeks. 3 weeks to decide whether to walk away from a 19-year career in exchange for a figure that made my head spin. I left her office with the envelope in my jacket pocket and a ringing in my ears that would not go away. I did not think. I did not analyze. I did what love-struck idiots do. I got in my pickup, hit the 202 freeway at 85 miles per hour, and headed home, thinking about the look on Lauren's face when I told her. I thought about taking her to dinner at that upscale spot she always pointed to on the menu but never ordered because it was an unnecessary luxury. I thought about the trip to Spain she had been mentioning since 2019. Barcelona, Madrid, San Sebastian. Someday, Ryan, she would say every time she saw a documentary about the Prado Museum. Well, someday had arrived. I put the key in the lock at 2:47. The house was quiet. The kind of quiet that is not peaceful, but tense, like the air before an earthquake. And then I heard her voice from the living room. She had not heard me come in. No, Mom, I already explained. I am going to wait until December. As soon as his bonus comes in, I will file the papers. I was frozen in the hallway, my hand still in my pocket, my fingers clutching the envelope from Horizon Construction Group. My legs would not move, not because I was in shock, but because a part of me already knew. I had been feeling a disconnect for months, like when you run your hand over a wall and feel the crack before you see it. The Sunday she stayed in bed until 11, looking at her phone with a half-smile that was not for me. The times I caught her deleting text conversations when I walked into the room. The way she stopped asking how my day at work was, as if my day was no longer part of her universe. Ryan is predictable, Mom. He leaves at 6, gets home at 7, eats dinner, watches the news, goes to sleep. He will not notice a thing. My name, spoken like the name of a piece of furniture that is in the way. The lawyer told me that in Arizona, we have community property. 50-50 on everything. The house, the savings, the investment fund, the cars, everything. She laughed, Mom. A short, efficient, joyless laugh. The laugh of someone who is doing the math and the numbers are adding up. And there is more. If I prove I left my job to support his career, I can ask for spousal support. Remember when I quit the gallery? Arthur says that counts. Arthur, the lawyer she met at the tennis club in Scottsdale. The guy I said hi to at last year's Christmas party. The guy who ate my barbecue ribs and told me my homemade salsa was competition worthy. I just want to be happy again, Mom. Remember how it was before? When I used to paint, when I went out with the girls. Now it is just this. This house, this man, this life. This life. The life I built brick by brick, paycheck by paycheck, 14-hour shift by 14-hour shift. My body wanted to walk into the living room, throw the envelope on the table, and scream that I had heard her. But something colder, more lucid, stopped me. If I confronted her now, I would give her time to prepare. I would give Arthur time to adjust his strategy. I would give her the victim narrative. He overheard a conversation out of context. He overreacted. He is unstable. No, this required engineering. Planning. The same patience you use to build a bridge. First the foundations, then the structure, and finally, the finishing touches. Only then do you cross. I backed away step by step down the hall. I closed the front door without a sound. Then I opened it again forcefully, making as much noise as possible. Mom, he is home. I will call you back. I heard her quick footsteps. She appeared in the hallway with a smile that would have once melted me. Honey, you are home so early. Is everything okay? They let me out early. I thought we could have dinner together. That is great. Let us order from that sushi place on Mill Avenue. Perfect, I said. And I smiled a smile that did not even reach my nose. I left the house at 4 on the pretext of buying groceries. I did not buy any groceries. I drove aimlessly through the streets of Ahwatukee, past the shopping centers with their artisanal coffee shops, the gated communities with their high walls, the soccer fields where kids played, oblivious to what a divorce was. I ended up at a local bar called The Refuge, on the road toward the Superstition Mountains. A real neighborhood spot, dark wood tables, the smell of grilled food and cold beer. I ordered a straight bourbon. I downed it in one gulp. I drank the second one more slowly. The man at the next table looked at me. He was in his 60s, with a face weathered by the sun and thick hands from a lifetime of labor. A graying mustache, his hat on the chair beside him. Tough day, son. You have no idea. The wife. I looked at him. Is it that obvious? He laughed, a gruff, old bar laugh. It is always the wife or the job. But when a man has that look on his face, it is usually the wife. My wife wants to divorce me, and she does not know that I know. Did she cheat on me? She cheated on me in a different way. She wants my money. They always want half, he said, taking a sip of his beer. Same thing happened to me 20 years ago. She got everything. I was left with a little apartment downtown and the debts. And you got over it? You get over it. But it takes time and it costs you. I have money, I said. It was true. I had $2,600,000 waiting for me. I just needed to figure out how to protect it. Then find the best lawyer you can afford. And do not say a word to her until you have everything locked down. A plan. I needed a plan. I stayed at the bar until 10. I ate some tacos that the woman in the kitchen brought me without my asking, as if she knew I needed something more than bourbon in my stomach. When I got back to the house, Lauren was asleep, or pretending to be. I did not care. I went to the study and turned on the computer. That night, while she slept, I opened an incognito window. I typed, "Protect assets before divorce Arizona." What I found in the next 3 hours changed everything. I learned that in Arizona, if you marry without a prenuptial agreement, everything acquired during the marriage is split 50-50. It does not matter who earned more. It does not matter who worked. If it was during the marriage, it belongs to both. But there was a crucial exception. Assets acquired after the date of legal separation were considered separate property. I looked at the calendar. November 12th. If I filed for legal separation tomorrow, the process would take 10 to 15 business days. It would be finalized by November 27th or 28th. The offer from Horizon expired on the 30th. A 2 or 3 day margin. 2 or 3 days where I could sign for the severance as a legally separated man. 2 or 3 days where those $2,600,000 would be mine, and mine alone. I turned off the computer, cleared the history, and stared at the ceiling. 14 years of marriage reduced to arithmetic. The part of me that still wanted to believe some of what we had was real tried to speak up. But the part that heard that laugh, that dry, calculating laugh as she planned how to dismantle me, silenced it with one blow. The next morning at 6, while Lauren slept, I got dressed, made coffee, and left for the office of Heather Vance, a family law attorney with offices in the high-rise on the 202. I found her through a recommendation from a buddy who had gone through something similar 2 years before. "She is expensive," he warned, "but she is the best in the valley." Heather's office was on the 11th floor with a view of the mountains on clear days. It was cloudy that day, but something about the gray view seemed fitting. I told her everything. The conversation, Lauren's plan, the tennis club lawyer, the severance, the $2,600,000, the timing. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. "Engineer, what you are describing is viable, but it has serious risks. If your wife finds out about the severance before the separation is processed, she can claim concealment of assets. A judge could penalize you. And if she does not find out? If the separation is processed before I sign for the severance? Then that money is your separate property. She is not entitled to a single cent. Then let us proceed." 70-30, I said. "Pardon?" "She gets 70% of the marital assets. I get 30. And the severance stays with me." Heather looked at me over her glasses. "You are willing to give her almost everything in exchange for keeping the severance?" "She wants the house, the furniture, the new pickup. Let her have it all. I just want the severance money and my freedom. It is going to look suspicious. Let her be suspicious. By the time she figures it out, it will be too late." Heather smiled. A small smile from a lawyer who has seen it all. "I like you, engineer." We filled out the forms in 2 hours. The process server would deliver the notification on Friday. Lauren would find out over the weekend. She would have days to respond. The 2 days between Wednesday and Friday were the longest of my life. I would come home and be the same old Ryan. I would ask about her day, eat dinner, watch the news, go to sleep. But every interaction with Lauren felt like walking on a bridge I knew had a structural crack. I stepped carefully, measured each move, but on the outside, I appeared calm. On Wednesday night, as we ate breakfast sandwiches in silence, Lauren looked up from her phone and gave me a look I had not seen in months, something close to tenderness. "Hey, are you okay? You seem kind of distant lately." For a second, I wanted to tell her everything. To flip the table, pull out my phone, scream that I knew, beg her to tell me it was all a misunderstanding, that there was an explanation, that the woman I married still existed. But I did not. I took a sip of water, smiled at her, and said, "It is work. The restructuring has me stressed out. Poor baby. You should get some rest, my love." My love. Those 2 words scraped me on the inside like sandpaper. On Thursday night, Lauren made chicken enchiladas. She only cooked when she wanted something or felt guilty. She asked if I wanted to watch a movie together. "Which one?" "Whatever you want. We have not done something like this in a long time." We sat on the couch. She snuggled up against my shoulder like in the early years. She smelled of her usual shampoo, of that gardenia perfume I gave her for her 30th birthday. I felt her breath against my neck and thought, this feels real. How can it feel real if it is not? I could not focus on the movie. All I could think about was the process server who, the next day, would ring the doorbell of this house and hand this woman, who was leaning on my shoulder with her eyes closed, a document informing her that her plan had been moved up, that the predictable Ryan had done something unpredictable. On Friday at 7 in the morning, I left the house. I did not want to be there when the server arrived. I went to a Starbucks in downtown Gilbert and sat by the window with an Americano in my hand, waiting. The phone rang at 9:51. Lauren. I let it ring 7 times. It stopped. It rang again. Stopped. The text messages started coming in a flood. What is this, Ryan? Are you sending me separation papers? Answer me right now. This cannot be real. We have been together for 14 years. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. Please, answer me. I turned off the phone. I stayed at the coffee shop until noon. I tried to work on my laptop, but could not. I just stared at the screen as my brain processed 14 years falling apart. When I got back at 6, Lauren was sitting in the living room, the separation papers on the dining table, her eyes red and swollen. Ryan, she said, her voice breaking, what is this? A legal separation. It is all in there. But why? I could have told her the truth, but the truth would have given her ammunition. So I said, I am not happy. I have not been happy for a long time. What followed was a weekend of silent war. She cried. She begged. She got angry. She accused me of having an affair. She tried to negotiate. On Saturday at 8 in the morning, she was standing in the doorway of the study where I had slept on the couch. Ryan, look at me. Do not 14 years mean anything? I looked at her. I really looked at her. I searched for the woman I met at that wedding in Scottsdale, the one who laughed so hard wine came out of her nose. The one who helped me lay the bathroom tiles one Sunday in August while we listened to music on the radio. I could not find her. I only saw a woman who was calculating how much this conversation was going to cost her. We can go to therapy, she said. We can try. Do you want to try, or do you want my money? Her eyes widened. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I am talking about. She fell silent. I could see the gears turning behind her eyes, trying to calculate how much I knew. If there is someone else. She started. There is no one else. Just you and me. And the fact that we are not good for each other anymore. 14 years, Ryan. And you are just giving up like that? I am not giving up. I am accepting reality. She started to cry. Real tears, or an act. I could not tell anymore. I did not care anymore. I love you, she said. No, you do not love me. But that is okay. I do not love you anymore, either. It was cruel, but it was true. And she needed to hear it. I went to a Hampton Inn in Ahwatukee and let her process it alone. The room was small, with a view of the parking lot and sheets that smelled of industrial detergent. I sat on the bed with the remote in my hand, without turning on the TV. I just sat there, staring at the wall. For a whole hour. I thought about my dad, about his huge hands, full of calluses and cuts, hands that built houses for people he never met. He died at 64 from a heart attack in the living room of his house in a working-class neighborhood. My mom found the deeds to 3 plots of land he had secretly bought over 40 years of labor. He never told anyone. They were for me and my siblings. A man builds for those who come after, he always said. I was building, only this time it was not a bridge or a road. It was my own way out. I went back to the house on Monday. Lauren had gone to stay with her mom in Tucson. She left a note on the table. I am with my mom for a few days. I need space. Think carefully about what you are doing. Space. She needed space to consult with Arthur, to adjust her strategy, to recalculate how much she could get from me. I used the time alone to organize everything. Copies of bank statements, credit card bills, deeds, insurance policies. I was building my case, the way you build a foundation, pillar by pillar. Arthur, the tennis club lawyer, contacted Heather on Tuesday. Lauren wanted the house, the pickup, half of everything, and spousal support of $1,750 a month for 5 years. Make a counteroffer, I told Heather. 70% for her. The house, the new pickup, most of the liquid assets. 0 spousal support. That is too generous. She will be suspicious. Let her be suspicious. They accepted in 3 days. Lauren thought she was winning. Arthur probably thought I was an idiot. Neither of them knew that those $2,600,000 existed. The settlement papers were signed on Monday, November 25th, at Heather's office. Lauren arrived with Arthur, a guy in his 40s in a suit that was too tight, with the smile of a timeshare salesman. He extended his hand. Engineer Caldwell, a pleasure. Arthur Klein. I did not shake it. Let us just sign and get this over with. 23 pages. House for Lauren. New pickup for Lauren. 70% of liquid assets for Lauren. 30% for me. No spousal support. Final agreement. I signed every page. Lauren signed. Arthur signed as a witness. Heather signed. Congratulations, Arthur said, smiling. Amicable agreements are always best. Lauren was not smiling. She was looking at me with an expression I could not decipher. Relief, suspicion, guilt. Maybe all three mixed together like soup that has been left on the stove too long. Are you hiding something? She said to me. It was not a question. It was an accusation. Are you? I replied. The color drained from her face. For a second, I saw the real woman beneath all the layers of her performance. The woman who knew exactly what she was doing and was afraid that I knew it too. She did not say anything else. I left the office. Heather caught up with me in the elevator. The separation became official yesterday, November 24th. Any assets acquired from this point on our separate property. You have until Friday to sign for the severance. 5 days. 5 days to secure $2,600,000. The next day, I went to the Horizon Construction Group offices for the last time. I drove down the freeway with the window down, the cold November air hitting my face. The mountains were letting out a light haze on the horizon, as if they were breathing. Everything looked normal. The world kept spinning as if nothing had changed. Rebecca Hayes was waiting for me in her office. Have you made your decision, engineer? Yes. If I sign today, when will it be deposited? Approximately 10 business days. Around December 10th. December 10th. 17 days after the official separation. Comfortably within the separate property window. The taxes? An income tax withholding of approximately 30%. You will receive about $1,800,000 net. $1,800,000. All mine. Where do I sign? I signed. Rebecca witnessed it. She gave me the original copy. It was a pleasure working with you, engineer. 19 years. You built a lot here. I cleaned out my office that afternoon. 19 years packed into 4 cardboard boxes. Photos from bridge inaugurations, a hard hat signed by the whole crew from the highway project, a mug with the 2007 company logo, manuals nobody read, a keychain a foreman gave me the day we finished the elementary school 2 months ahead of schedule. In the back of a desk drawer, I found a photo I did not remember having. Lauren and I at the inauguration of the bridge 11 years ago. She was smiling with both arms around my neck, her hair blowing in the wind, and I had the face of a guy who could not believe his luck. I stared at that photo for a long time, then folded it and put it in the box with the rest, not for nostalgia, but as evidence that it was once real, even if it was not anymore. My colleague stopped by. Good luck, Ryan. Take it easy. We should grab some beers one of these days. No one is going to grab those beers. Everyone says it. No one follows through. But old Ray, the security guard who had been opening and closing that site for 30 years, waited for me at the exit and gave me one of those old man hugs, the kind that squeeze tight and do not let go easily. You are going to do well, engineer, he told me. You are one of the ones who builds. A lump formed in my throat. I squeezed his shoulder, got in my pickup, and drove toward the future. I opened a new account at Chase, the Ahwatukee branch. I confirmed the deposit details with Horizon. Everything was set. The 10-day wait for the deposit was a silent torture. Every morning, I would open the bank app on my phone and see the empty balance of the new account. Every morning, I would swallow the lump in my throat and go on with my day. I rented a temporary apartment in Tempe, small, furnished, with a window overlooking the McDowell Mountains. From there, you could see the mountains at dawn, when the peaks would wake up covered in light and the desert looked truly asleep. I would wake up at 6, make coffee in a single-cup coffee maker I bought at Target, and sit by the window watching the city light up. I had no job, no wife, no plan beyond waiting for a number to appear on a screen. And yet, for the first time in years, I felt like I owned my time. There was no one waiting for me to ask for something. There was no one calculating my salary before I even collected it. On December 10th, at 10:38 in the morning, I opened the bank app, and there it was. $1,814,000. Real dollars. Mine. I sat on the bed in the apartment, staring at the screen for 10 minutes. I did not celebrate. I did not shout. I did not toast with anyone. I just breathed. A long, slow breath that came from some deep place that had been clenched for months. I took a screenshot and saved it in 3 different places. Then I called Heather. The money came through. Congratulations, engineer. You played and you won. And now, keep a low profile. Do not buy anything flashy. Do not post anything on social media. Do not tell anyone. Wait until the divorce is finalized. How long? 3 or 4 months, if she does not fight it. She will probably fight. Lauren found out a week later. I do not know how. Maybe someone from Horizon said something. Maybe she hired an investigator. It does not matter. My phone rang at 11 at night. You received $2,600,000 in severance. Good evening to you, too. Do not play dumb, Ryan. You received a multi-million-dollar severance and did not tell me. I received a severance offer after our legal separation. It is separate property. None of your business. Not your business? We are married. We have been legally separated since November 24th. Check the documents. You already knew. You knew about the money before the separation. No. You are lying. Prove it. She hung up. She called back 5 minutes later. Arthur says we can sue you for concealment of assets. Arthur can try. He will lose, and it will cost him. You tricked me, Ryan. That is funny. I heard you say something similar. Something about waiting for my bonus before filing the papers. About splitting everything, 50-50. About how I was predictable. Silence. A silence that spread like a crack in a wall. You heard. November 12th, at 2:47 in the afternoon. You were on the phone with your mom planning my financial slaughter, calculating how much you were going to take from me. You wanted to wait for my bonus? Well, I beat you on the timing. Ryan, you have no excuse. You were ready to clean me out, ready to take everything I built in 30 years of work and pretend you loved me until the very last second. I was confused. I did not mean it. You meant it enough to hire Arthur. Meant it enough to have a complete plan. Meant it enough to calculate the exact month. Half of that money is mine. I was with you for 14 years. And during those 14 years, your contribution was spending what I earned. You deserve exactly what the settlement says. 70% of the marital assets, the house, the pickup, almost everything. More than fair. But you have $1,800,000. And they are mine. Only mine. She hung up. Arthur Klein filed a motion to contest the agreement in January, alleging concealment of assets and bad faith, and requesting a hearing. Heather responded with a 40-page file, dates, timelines, documentary proof that the offer was communicated on November 12th, but the decision to accept was made after the separation. Proof that the money was deposited on December 10th, all after the official date. The hearing was in March. The family court judge, Edward Kensington, was known for not tolerating schemes. The process was straightforward. Arthur alleged premeditation. Heather showed emails, dates, the contract with the November 30th deadline. My client made a legitimate career decision, she argued. He had no obligation to inform a spouse from whom he was legally separated about a future employment offer. The judge heard both sides. It took 15 minutes. The motion is dismissed. The separation agreement was signed on November 24th. Engineer Caldwell accepted the severance on the 25th. The deposit was made on December 10th. All subsequent to the date of separation. The plaintiff has no right to assets acquired after said date. Arthur tried to appeal. Your Honor, the premeditation is obvious. Counselor, premeditation is not illegal. Engineer Caldwell acted within the law. If your client has a problem with that, she should have been more careful about who she confided her plans to. Motion dismissed. We left the courthouse. Lauren was crying in the hallway. Arthur was red with anger. This is not over, he said. Yes, I replied. It is. The divorce was finalized in April. Lauren got the house, the new pickup, and nearly $300,000 in assets. I was left with the old pickup, $100,000 in liquid assets, and the $1,800,000 from the severance. Total, $1,900,000 for me, $300,000 for her. The last I heard from Lauren was a text message. I hope you are happy with your money. I hope it was worth it. I replied, I did not lose 14 years. I learned a lesson worth $2,600,000. Trust actions, not words. She did not respond. I sold the old pickup. I bought a more discreet used one and rented a small apartment in Tempe with a view of the mountains and the city lights. I invested $1 million in index funds, kept $250,000 in an emergency account, and used $150,000 to do what I never did in 19 years of building things for others, build something for myself. I went to Spain in May. Barcelona, San Sebastián, Madrid. The trip Lauren always wanted and I always postponed. I stayed for 3 weeks. I walked without a rush through alleys I did not know. I ate at nameless little restaurants. I drank wine in plazas where no one knew my story. In San Sebastián, I sat on La Concha Beach at 7 in the evening and watched the sun sink into the sea like a gold coin falling into water. I thought of my dad, how he would have loved to see that, how he built houses his whole life, but never saw the ocean. In a small gallery in Barcelona's Gothic quarter, I found a painting that stopped me in my tracks. A Mediterranean landscape, blue sea, cliffs, a sky that seemed impossible. The owner, a woman in her 60s with enormous earrings and a smile that filled her whole face, asked if I liked art. I do not know. I have never stopped to think about it. Well, stop then. I looked. I really looked. I looked for the first time in years. I allowed myself to look at something without calculating its cost, its utility, its return on investment. Just to look at it. What do you feel? Calm, I said. I have not felt calm in a long time. Then you have found what you were looking for. I bought the painting for $100. I did not need it. I had nowhere to hang it yet. But I bought it because for the first time in 19 years, I did something just because I wanted to. Not because it was an investment. Not because it was practical. Not because someone asked me to. Just because something inside me said yes, and I listened. I hung it in the living room of my apartment in Tempe. Every time I see it, I am reminded that there is life after betrayal, that calm exists, that a man who spent 30 years building for others has the right to build something just for himself. 6 months after the divorce, I met someone. I was not looking, I was not interested. Love was the last thing on my list of priorities, if such a list even existed. It just happened. Her name is Claire, 39, an environmental engineer, divorced. I met her in the dumbest way possible, at a cafe in downtown Tempe on a Sunday morning. She was sitting at the next table reading a book on pedestrian bridge design, and I, with 30 years of construction under my belt, could not resist. Is it interesting? I asked. She looked at me over her book with brown eyes that did not ask for permission to tell the truth. No, she said, but it is for work. We laughed. I ordered another coffee. She ordered another. We talked for 2 hours about concrete bridges, about how humidity eats away at the rebar if you do not protect it. It sounds boring, but it was the most honest conversation I had had in years. Neither of us was trying to impress the other. Neither was putting on an act. I told her the whole story. Everything. Lauren, the money, the separation, the plan. You were strategic, she said. I was vengeful. You protected yourself. There is a difference. Do not you think it was wrong? She was going to do the same thing to you. You just moved first. There is nothing wrong with protecting what you have built. Claire is different. Direct, honest, transparent. When something bothers her, she says it. She does not save it to use as a weapon later. We are not married. We do not live together. We are just together, without pressure, without exaggerated expectations. On Sundays, we go for breakfast at a little place on Mill Avenue, and then walk through the center of Tempe, looking at the city skyline outlined against the mountains. It is simple, it is real. And after 14 years of complicated and fake, simple and real feels like a luxury I did not know I could afford. Today I am 47. My investments have grown. The $1 million turned into $1,200,000. I am thinking of starting something. A construction supervision consultancy, maybe. Or something that excites me more, a trade school for young guys from working-class neighborhoods who want to learn to build with their hands, like my dad taught me. I have already spoken with the Tempe City about a plot of land they have available. I already have the name, the Caldwell School. Not because I wanted to have my last name, but because I wanted to have my dad's. To use 19 years of experience for something that matters. So that a 17-year-old kid who is hauling bags of concrete today for minimum wage knows he can go further, that building with your hands is not something to be ashamed of. That stability is built brick by brick, just like everything else. Lauren sold the house in August. She could not afford the upkeep. Property taxes, maintenance, gas, electricity, water. It was too much for one person who never learned how to maintain anything because there was always someone else to do it for her. She bought a smaller apartment in a different neighborhood. I heard from a mutual cousin that she is dating someone new. Not Arthur, someone from the gym. I hope she is truly happy. I hope she learns what I learned, that money is not everything, that honesty matters, that you cannot build a life on lies. But she probably will not. Some people do not learn. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday in November, about the key turning in the lock at 2:47, about her voice telling her mom I was predictable, about the white envelope getting damp in my pocket as my hand trembled. What would have happened if I had not come home early? If I had followed my usual routine, if I had arrived at 7 like every other day, if I had told her about the severance over a bottle of wine and travel plans, she would have smiled. She would have toasted with me. She would have hugged me with that fake strength I mistook for love. We would have ordered sushi, and she would have said, "You deserve it, my love," in that velvety voice she used when money was involved. And in January, she would have filed for divorce and walked away with half. $1,300,000 straight to her account, plus the assets, plus spousal support, plus everything. But because I got home 2 hours early, because I put the key in the lock at 2:47 and not at 7, because I listened, because I did not scream, did not cry, did not break anything, because I did what I do best, build, plan, assemble piece by piece, check the foundations before raising the structure. I ended up with $1,900,000 instead of $900,000. A $1 million difference, just because I came home early one Tuesday in November. Timing is everything in construction, in life, and in divorce. That is my story. The day I was offered $2,600,000 and lost my marriage, or gained my freedom. Depends on how you look at it. If you have made it this far, thank you for listening. I hope you never need to use any of this. I hope your partner is honest, that your love is real, that what you have built together has a true foundation. But if one day you discover it was all a lie, if on any given Tuesday you come home 2 hours early and hear what you never wanted to hear, remember this: you are not alone, and you will survive. The other day, I was at the lot where the school is going to be. It was early, around 7 in the morning, and the sun was just rising behind the mountains. The lot is a rectangle of bare earth with a few rocks and a lot of dry grass. It does not look anything like a school yet. But I know how to read land. I know how to see what can be before it is. And standing there, with my boots sinking into the mud because it had rained the night before, I imagined the classrooms, the carpentry workshop, the courtyard where the kids will eat their lunches during their break. I imagined a 17-year-old kid learning to read a blueprint for the first time. I imagined my dad standing next to me, his hands in his pockets, and that quiet smile he had when he saw something well done. A man who builds something has the right to pass on peacefully, he used to say. I am not leaving yet, but I am building. And this time, what I am building, no one can take away from me. Comment: this one really stayed with me. I hope it made you pause and reflect on what truly matters in your life. Protecting your peace and setting firm boundaries are among the most important things you can do for yourself. I believe taking responsibility for your future shows real self-respect, not selfishness. Even after painful experiences, choosing to heal and move forward calmly is powerful. Be kind to yourself first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Listening carefully before reacting can save you from so much unnecessary pain. Building a quiet, steady life after chaos is a form of strength many people overlook. I truly hope this story inspires you to value yourself more and choose peace every single day. You deserve a life built on honesty, respect, and genuine care, both for yourself and for those around you. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.